cumbersome and difficult to store in between exhibits. Quilt racks that we already had, I came up with an idea of having canvas sort of slings that would be like the scrims, and you would hang them, but then you pull them at the angle they needed to be and anchor them down. And you put Velcro on the top, just as you would put Velcro on the wall if you're hanging it on the wall, but it's now hanging at an angle, the same angle if we had a solid foam core quilt backing, but it's now on canvas. So we took, we got canvas from an upholsterer, from a theatrical fabric supplier that can supply things up to 144 inches wide. Took it to an upholsterer, explained what we wanted. You'll see Pat's design for those in a minute. And we came up, for $200, $250, we have these canvas slings with Velcro on the top that can be reused. And at the end of the exhibit, it gets folded up and put in a box, and it only takes up, each one only takes up this much space instead of those great big huge panels. So Pat will talk about this more, but you can see that basically he went at a complete angle. So instead of having everything linear like this, it's now all at angles, and you go around the things and you've broken up the gallery. And these are these rails from IKEA, very inexpensive. I mean, you really can't get more basic than that. But this means we didn't have to have someone build something. And so then you get it's not foam core, it's whatever that other fabrication is. But the labels just got mounted, with extra heavy double-sided tape. So we think that was a pretty good solution. And the plus is, it's not only a barrier, but it's very ADA accessible. It's right at 11, and it's huge, so the font is big enough that anyone can read it, and it works all the way around. And then it kind of becomes this wonderful immersive experience where, as Pat will talk a little bit more later, you're kind of entering a quilt almost with these big blow-ups of details of the quilt. And originally we had plans to put more of these little details, these swinging quilt pieces up on the top, and we just ran out of, well, it was just quite a challenge putting all those holes in the ceiling. And then Pat used the graphics that I was interested in using. I was picturing them on labels and little wall panels, but he made them huge on scrims, and those became the side barriers on those quilts. And so you had the various themes coming out and being really brought forward to your consciousness. And what we decided to do was use this migration theme, and so the various designs of quilts, the applique section, the pieced section, and the album section, the design sections are in the front of the gallery, and the back becomes where we talk about the migration of designs. So you didn't have to say, okay, well, all those albums are going to just be shoved off to the back. There was some logic to having this concept section, and all the design sections were in the front. So hopefully we turned, if not a liability, a challenge into a plus and a thoughtful presentation. And the other liability was these, kind of distracting cases, but Pat brilliantly said, well, the thing about these ceramics and things is, these are the kind of elegant pieces that would have, am I right, would have been in these homes along with the quilts, so let's talk about that. So we then brought out some pieces of furniture and hung this quilt, here next to it. So we have these little scenarios, and we have this graphic of a woman in an interior with some similar furniture to sort of say, picture these quilts in houses that had these other elegant furnishings. And so it gives a little bit of context to that. And then some of the scrims bring out the photos or portraits of some of the makers, so we really highlight the fact that we know some of these women. And then in various places we emphasize various themes, like here's the shopper, a fashion plate, and an ad from a newspaper in Williamsburg, which by 1805, 1810, would not have been the center of, of commerce in Virginia, and yet here he is saying, we just got these beautiful fabrics from Philadelphia. So anywhere you go, you can get these fabrics. Here's an English design image of women in a fabric warehouse, and so that gets brought out into the scrim. And then in the back, the display cases with all the silver and things like that got covered up with these blow-up images of Baltimore and the region outside of Baltimore where some of the factories are. And so it was, and this wonderful panorama I was able to find, and so this whole panorama got blown up